The late autumn wind rattled the window panes as Daniel Foster stirred the soup simmering on the stove. The house was quieter these days, too quiet, in fact. The laughter of his 5-year-old daughter, Lily, echoed faintly from the living room as she hummed along with her cartoons. 2 months had passed since Emily, his ex-wife, had packed her things and walked out for good. The divorce had been civil, at least on paper. In reality, it left behind a hollow in Daniel's chest that no legal document could fill. He was a single dad now, juggling late work shifts and bedtime stories, balancing bills and broken emotions. He looked around the small kitchen, a mess of coloring books, half-folded laundry, and a few dishes that never seemed to get done. It wasn't glamorous, but it was home. He had promised himself he'd make it work for Lily's sake. Then, there was a knock. It wasn't timid, it was hesitant, soft, like someone unsure whether they belonged there at all. Daniel wiped his hands on a towel and walked to the door. When he opened it, his jaw slackened. Standing there, wrapped in a long beige coat and holding a small duffel bag, was Hannah, Emily's younger sister. "Hey," she said softly, her breath visible in the cold air. "Can I come in?" Daniel blinked, his mind spinning. He hadn't seen Hannah since the divorce hearing. She had always been the quieter one, more empathetic than her sharp-tongued sister. But seeing her on his doorstep was the last thing he expected. Yeah, sure," Daniel said, stepping aside. "Come in." Hannah entered hesitantly, glancing around the living room. Her eyes caught the small toys scattered across the floor, the blanket draped over the couch, and the faint smell of vegetable soup from the kitchen. "It's warm in here," she murmured, rubbing her hands together. Daniel crossed his arms. "What are you doing here, Hannah? Did Emily send you?" Her eyes flickered with guilt. "No, not exactly. She doesn't even know I'm here." That made him pause. "Then why?" She hesitated, biting her lip. "Because I couldn't stand what she did to you. Or to Lily." Daniel frowned. He wasn't used to hearing anyone defend him from that family. Emily's parents had always seen him as the underachiever, the man who never provided enough for their daughter, despite working overtime to keep a roof over their heads. "I appreciate that," he said slowly, "but I don't think Emily would be thrilled if she knew you were visiting me." "I know," Hannah sighed. "But I'm not here for her approval. I'm here because I have nowhere else to go." Her voice cracked on the last word. Daniel's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Tears glistened in her eyes as she looked down. "I lost my job 2 weeks ago. The apartment I was renting was under Emily's name. She kicked me out when I told her she was wrong about you." Daniel felt a pang of sympathy. For a moment, neither spoke. The quiet between them was heavy, not awkward, but filled with the shared silence of people who'd both been hurt by the same person. "Stay for dinner," he said finally. "At least until you figure something out." Her relief was visible, her shoulders slumped, and a small, grateful smile appeared. "Thank you," she whispered. They sat across from each other at the kitchen table that night, Lily between them. The little girl instantly warmed to her aunt, chatting about school, her drawings, and her daddy's special soup. Hannah laughed softly, her eyes glistening again. "You've grown so much, Lily. I missed you." Lily tilted her head. "Why didn't you come before?" Hannah's face turned pale. Daniel gently intervened. "Aunt Hannah was busy, sweetheart. But she's here now." After dinner, Daniel washed the dishes while Hannah helped Lily get ready for bed. He could hear their laughter upstairs, a sound that had been missing for far too long. It made something stir inside him, something that felt dangerously close to peace. Later, when Hannah came back downstairs, she stood quietly by the window. "I can find a motel tomorrow," she said softly. "Didn't mean to intrude." "You're not intruding," Daniel replied. "It's just unexpected." She smiled faintly. "I guess we're both living lives we didn't expect." He nodded, leaning against the counter. "You're right about that." They stood in silence, watching the moonlight spill across the floor. Then, Daniel asked the question that had been pressing in his chest all evening. "Did Emily ever say anything about why she really left?" Hannah sighed, running a hand through her hair. "She said you didn't understand her dreams. But that's just her way of avoiding guilt. The truth, she met someone else before the divorce was final." Daniel felt the air leave his lungs. It wasn't that he didn't suspect, but hearing it confirmed by her own sister stung in a way he couldn't describe. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I shouldn't have said that." "No," he said quietly. "It's better I know." For a long time, neither moved. The clock ticked softly in the background, and Lily's breathing upstairs reminded them both that life still went on. Finally, Hannah spoke again, voice trembling. You know, I always admired how you treated her. How patient you were. She never saw that. Daniel met her eyes. Guess patience doesn't mean much when someone's already halfway out the door. Something shifted between them then, not romantic, not yet, but real. A silent recognition of two people who had both lost something to the same storm. As the night deepened, Daniel made up the couch for her, placing an extra blanket nearby. You can stay as long as you need, Hannah, he said softly. No rush. She looked at him, eyes shimmering. Thank you, Daniel. Really? He nodded, then turned off the lights. But as he lay awake that night, listening to the faint hum of the refrigerator and the soft rhythm of another heartbeat in the next room, he couldn't shake the feeling that Hannah's arrival wasn't just coincidence. It felt like the beginning of something neither of them saw coming. Hannah had slipped seamlessly into the routine. She cooked breakfast with Lily every morning, helped her get dressed for kindergarten, and even reminded Daniel to take his lunch before work. The quiet house that once echoed with loneliness now felt alive again, full of warmth, laughter, and the faint scent of cinnamon rolls. Daniel found himself smiling more often. He didn't realize how much he missed having someone to talk to, someone who understood without judgment. Hannah never pried into his pain. She simply listened, helped, and filled the spaces Emily had left empty. It was slow, subtle healing. But peace, as Daniel knew, rarely lasted long. It was a Saturday afternoon when everything shifted. Lily was playing with her dolls in the living room, and Daniel was fixing a loose cabinet hinge when the doorbell rang again. He wiped his hands on his jeans and opened the door, and froze. Emily stood there. Her hair was perfectly styled, her perfume sharp and familiar. Her eyes, however, carried a mix of surprise and something sharper, jealousy. Daniel, she said, tilting her head slightly. You weren't answering my messages. He frowned. Because there's nothing left to talk about. Emily crossed her arms. There's always something to talk about when you share a child. Her gaze slid past him, and then froze on the sight inside the house. There, kneeling beside Lily, was Hannah, helping her fix a tiny dollhouse window. Emily's expression changed. Instantly, her nostrils flared, her jaw tightened, and her eyes burned. What is she doing here? Daniel's voice stayed calm. She's staying with us for now. She needed help. Emily's tone rose an octave. You took her in, my sister. After everything. Lily looked up, startled. Hannah stood slowly, her face pale but steady. Emily, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Emily snapped, stepping inside uninvited. You betrayed me, Hannah. First, you take his side during the divorce, and now you move in with him. Daniel's patience cracked. That's enough. You don't get to barge in here and start yelling. Emily turned on him, her eyes blazing. Oh, I see what's going on now. You've replaced me already, haven't you? With my sister. Her words sliced through the air like glass. Hannah's face flushed, and she took a shaky breath. It's not like that, Emily. I just needed a place to stay. Daniel's been nothing but kind. Emily laughed, a cold, bitter laugh. Of course he's been kind. He's always been the perfect, pitiful man who everyone pities. I left him for a reason. That made Daniel stand up straight. His voice was low, steady, but filled with something dangerous, dignity. You left because you couldn't stand someone who actually loved you more than himself. The room went silent. Even Lily, sensing the storm, clutched her doll and watched with wide eyes. Emily sneered, oh, please. You call this love, playing house with my sister? Hannah finally spoke, her voice trembling but firm. You have no right to judge anyone, Emily. You hurt both of us. You walked away from your marriage, from your daughter, and now you're mad because someone picked up the pieces you left behind. Emily's face turned crimson. You think you're better than me? No, Hannah said softly, I just think I'm finally done letting you make everyone else miserable. Daniel stepped between them, not out of fear but to protect the calm that had finally returned to his home. Emily, you should go. We're done talking. But Emily wasn't done. She leaned closer, whispering like venom. You'll regret this, Daniel. And you, she pointed at her sister, you've just destroyed whatever family you had left. Then she stormed out, slamming the door so hard the windows shook. The silence that followed felt like the aftermath of an earthquake. Hannah stood frozen, her hands shaking. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean to cause more trouble. Daniel sighed, running a hand over his face. You didn't. Emily's choices aren't your fault. She made her bed long before this. Lily tugged at Hannah's sleeve. Aunt Hannah, are you sad? Hannah knelt down, smiling weakly. No, sweetheart, just tired. Lily hugged her tightly. Don't go, okay? That simple, innocent plea broke through every wall Hannah had left. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she hugged the little girl back. I'm not going anywhere, she whispered. That night, after Lily had gone to bed, Daniel found Hannah sitting on the porch. The moonlight painted her face in silver, her eyes distant but peaceful. I should leave tomorrow, she said quietly. She'll never stop if she thinks something's going on between us. Daniel sat beside her. If you go, she wins. You didn't do anything wrong. Hannah looked at him, her voice soft but trembling. And if she's right, if staying here starts something I can't undo. He met her gaze, and for the first time, neither looked away. There was no denial left, no pretending that what was happening was just comfort. It was deeper than that, built from shared pain, from honesty, from something real. Finally, Daniel spoke, barely above a whisper. Then maybe it's something that was meant to happen. Hannah's breath caught, but she didn't move. Weeks passed. Emily didn't return, though rumors reached Daniel that she had left town with the man she'd been seeing. Life settled into a steady rhythm again, only now, it was different. Lily adored having her aunt around, and the bond between Daniel and Hannah grew stronger with each passing day. They cooked together, laughed together, fixed the house bit by bit, and found healing in small, ordinary moments. One winter evening, as snow drifted outside, Daniel tucked Lily into bed and came downstairs to find Hannah asleep on the couch, a book open on her lap. He stood there for a long moment, watching her, the calm in her expression, the quiet strength she carried. He thought of that first knock 2 months ago, the night she'd appeared out of nowhere. It had started as an accident, a coincidence. But it had turned into something he hadn't dared hope for, a second chance at family, not built from perfection, but from forgiveness and love reborn from ashes. Hannah stirred and looked up at him, smiling sleepily. What's wrong? Nothing, Daniel said softly, sitting beside her. Just thinking, how one knock can change everything. She smiled. Yeah, it really can. And when she rested her head on his shoulder, Daniel realized that sometimes, life doesn't give you what you lost, it gives you what you truly needed all along. The house that once echoed with heartbreak was finally full again, of warmth, laughter, and love that had found its way home in the most unexpected way.